My parents made me quit school and become an unpaid nanny for my younger brother, so I ran away. My mom is now stalking me and threatening to kidnap me because she failed in her attempts to drag me home. I will be 15 and will start the first year of high school at the beginning of the new school year. I have a younger brother whom I call Matt. Both of my parents work full-time in the business district. Matt is the child of my plan, but Matt is not. My parents considered giving him up for adoption, but couldn't do it. They didn't know I knew about it. Once, my mother ended her maternity leave 2 weeks early. My mother went to work at 4:30 a.m. and whoever looked after Matt was responsible for waking me up on the way to school. I looked after Matt until 7 a.m. when I needed to go to school. My father had already got up and taken over by then. I got home from school at 3:45 p.m. and my father went to work before 4 p.m. work. No later than 4 p.m. I watch him until my mom gets home at 6 p.m. That was the way it was for the first year. I didn't have a problem with it. Now my mom has delayed her work hours. I watch Matt Tilly go to sleep and don't go to bed until my mom gets home, usually between 10 and 11 p.m. On top of that, I have to do at home. I take AP courses and have homework to do. Matt is not very obedient. He says he was born with health problems that make him physically uncomfortable. He is only a toddler. I understand, but his temper and behavior make it difficult for me to get any work done. The two things that really pushed me over the edge happened the week before the school holidays in May. I managed to talk to my mother and ask her if we could hire a babysitter to look after Matt while I wanted to join some extracurricular activities. Her response was that they didn't need to waste money on that because they had me. 2 days later, my mother came home early at 5 p.m. after dinner, and she asked me to ask the school if I could reduce my workload next year, if they could reduce my workload so that I could spend more time at home, as my father obviously wanted to adjust his working hours too. I told her that it wasn't possible, and she angrily said that I needed to be more understanding and tolerant. I was fed up and flew into a rage. I can't remember exactly what I said, but I remember yelling that I wasn't my brother's parent. I stormed back to my room, stuffed some things into my backpack, and left while my mom was distracted by my brother. I was safe. I called my grandmother and explained what had happened. She and my mom are estranged, but we can stay close as long as she picks me up. She said she understood my parents' actions, that they had bombed my phone demanding I come home, and that I should be ashamed of my behavior. My grandmother blocked their numbers, and she did talk to them, and they agreed that I could stay where I was until I came to my senses. I feel guilty for leaving my brother, but at the same time I feel exhausted. The rest of the family is waiting for me, and most of them are on my side. Others say I need to accept my responsibility in the family and accept the reality. I'm conflicted and don't know what to do. I ran away, I'm sorry. Update comment same day update post comment here because the content of the post overwhelmed me. Thank you to everyone who left a comment. I feel more confident in my decision now. Several people said I need to talk to my parents about a nanny or boundaries. I tried before but was either rejected or told things like it's too expensive, but you did well. You're the older sister and it's your responsibility to take care of him. I looked up the term parenting because I'd never heard it before and all the conditions fit. I didn't know that my grandmother was consulting with a lawyer to make arrangements for me to live with her after I graduate from high school in the last 2 years. I plan to go to college in another state. Thank you again for your kind words. I will let you know if something significant happens. OOP was rated NTA update post July 16, 2023, almost 1 month later. Although it has been a few weeks, a lot has happened. I will try to keep it brief. Thank you again for all your comments and support. They mean a lot to me personally and to my grandmother. My grandmother sends her greetings first. Despite my efforts to prevent it, my father found my post and told my mother. My extended family was bombarded via social media with messages saying that I had shamed them. According to my supportive cousin, she deleted the post a few hours later. A few days later, at a meeting between my parents and myself, my grandmother and our lawyer, my father apologized to me, and I felt that he meant it. As for my mother, she was silently furious. Matt stayed with one of their aunts. They reluctantly agreed to let my grandmother raise me exclusively for the remaining 3 years of my minority. The next day, my grandmother and some of the family members who supported me helped me move my personal belongings out of my parents' home. It was only at that moment that I truly felt relieved. Now I'm enjoying my summer vacation, hanging out with friends, swimming, relaxing, and finally having time to read the books I bought 3 years ago. I'm planning extracurricular activities for the next semester and even planning to host my 16th birthday party in February, the first birthday party I've hosted in 3 years. I'm also helping my grandmother with household chores and errands, but this time I'm getting pocket money, after-school activities, and even planning a birthday party, which is the first time I've thrown a party for my 16-year-old self in February in 3 years. I also helped my grandmother with household chores, but this time I got pocket money, and even my sleep quality improved. This is a whole new way of life, and although I'm a little overwhelmed, I've never been happier. I hope this is the last time I post. I'm quitting Reddit and going shopping with my grandmother. Thanks for all the comments. Did you all get the documents? The lawyer was with us when we went to get the stuff and demanded all my important documents. My father handed them over, and my mother was doing high-intensity interval training, HIIT, in the master bedroom to ensure that I was completely cut off from the outside world once I left the house. My grandmother blocked their numbers, and I blocked their social media accounts and emails. I don't hate them. Life is too short to hate. I'm not even angry anymore, just disappointed that they might neglect or abuse Matt while you're gone. Have they done this before when you weren't around? I don't believe they do. Mom gets frustrated with him because of how picky he is but never abuses him. Dad is more patient with him. I think they really think I have some sort of gift when it comes to him, like I can keep him calm. I don't care for her brother. I hope to reconnect with him when he's older. But our mother is. Who she is and who knows. Update post February 18th, 2024, 7 months later. Hi everyone. I previously posted on the Ida subreddit about the situation between me and my parents, mainly about the situation between me and my parents, mainly about the situation between me and my parents, mainly about the situation between me and my parents, mainly about the situation between me and my parents, mainly about the situation between me and my parents, mainly about the situation between me and my parents, mainly about the situation between me and my parents, mainly about the situation between me and my parents, mainly about the situation between me and my parents, mainly about the situation between me and my parents, mainly about the situation between me and my parents, mainly about the situation between me and my parents, mainly about the situation between me and my parents, mainly about the situation between me and my parents, mainly about the situation between me and my parents, mainly about the situation between, mainly about me and my parents. Older, but who our mother is, who knows. Update post February 18th, 2024, 7 months later. Hello everyone. I previously posted on the Ida subreddit about the situation between me and my parents, mainly my mother. TLDR, I was parentalized and forced to spend 90% of my spare time taking care of my younger brother. I had enough and ran away to my grandma's house. My parents gave her legal custody of me. And more details in my 2 posts on this topic. Things went well. I did well in school, participated in extracurricular activities such as robotics and debate teams, and had time to read and hang out with friends. I started talking to my father, but never face-to-face, just on the phone, mostly about trivial things. I talked about school and my classes, and he updated me on my brother Matt. Since custody was given to my grandmother, the last time we spoke, my father told me that Matt had become restless and realized that I was no longer around. They hired a babysitter to help, but my parents were still forced to reduce their working hours, which was about a week and a half ago. Last Saturday, I had the birthday party of my dreams, with the theme books. My birthday cake looked like a stack of books. The snacks were themed around literary characters, and everyone dressed up as a book character. I dressed up as Sherlock Holmes. We had a really comfortable venue that was all ours, which was great, and it was a really relaxed and fun party. My grandmother hired security for the party and made a strict list of people allowed to attend, due to a few bullies at school who heard about my party and threatened to ruin it. The party ended after a few hours when most of the guests had left, and there were just my grandmother, myself, a security guard, and 2 of my closest friends left. I made an excuse to go to the bathroom, and when I came out, one of my friends met me halfway in the hall, and she tried to push me back to the bathroom, saying that my mother had appeared and demanded to see me. I did not tell my family about this party, not my father, not even those who supported me because of the possibility of this, and I did not post it on social media either. I heard my grandmother's shouts and decided to face the situation myself. The security guard stopped my mum, and my grandmother was so angry that my mum became hysterical when she saw me, screaming that I was a disgrace and that she would never let me disown her, that if I knew what was good for me, I would go home. I wasn't scared. I wasn't even angry. I was just tired. I sighed a little and pulled out my phone to tell her I was calling the police. And if she stayed to face them, that was up to her. But either way, I would be applying for a non-contact order. She turned pale, screamed one last time, and then I ran into my car, accelerated and left. I'm glad it didn't happen at the party, but it shocked me. Needless to say, my grandmother and I will talk to our lawyer tomorrow. I'm still not sure how she found out about the party, and it scares me. Narcissistic parents always try to sabotage their children's lives. I'm beginning to feel like I'll have to watch out for my mom for the rest of my life. Related comments. This exchange commenter answered your question. Yes. They always try to sabotage their children's lives. Why? Because they can't see their own faults. They're so self-absorbed that they always see the other person as at fault. Have you spoken to your father since this happened? Or do you plan to talk to him? Or do you plan to go with him to see him? If you have spoken to him, perhaps he can tell you who told your mother, because that person needs to be left out of this. I have this for you. It sums up the behavior of a narcissist perfectly. I haven't spoken to my dad since it happened. I really don't want to contact him. He seems genuinely sorry about what I went through and is trying to change. I know from talking to him that I never told him about the party, so there's no way he could have informed my mother. I'm going to call him today to see what happened after my mother left. Thanks for the link. Yes, this adds. Can she track your phone? I've thought about this and my grandmother agreed. We checked my phone to see if there was anything like that and found nothing. Definitely need to consider changing phones. Thanks. I'm in therapy and it really helps take away a lot of the guilt and stress after running away. Despite the fact that a large part of me wanted to give up and just go home after my post on Ida, I know that's not really what I want, and I know if I did that, I would just continue to sacrifice unnecessarily. Update post March 4th, 2024. 2 weeks later. Sorry for the late update. A lot has happened and I've been busy with schoolwork. I spoke to my dad and told him what happened. He sounded very and apologized profusely. I told him not to apologize as it wasn't his fault. He said he would look into it and get back to me in the meantime. We spoke to a solicitor and he agreed with the idea of a non-contact order that I had requested. My grandmother contacted my school to ensure that my mother was not allowed on the premises or to access any information about me. Both my grandmother and I got a new phone and checked my grandmother's car, but there was no AirTag. I checked all my friends' social media and there were no posts before the party. I was very confused. 5 days later, I got a call from my father. Apparently, he had put a lot of pressure on my mother, and she finally spilled the beans. She had bumped into another parent in the store, the mother of one of my recent friends, who had a cold and couldn't make the party. She said Mum didn't know. My mother and I had a dramatic confrontation. She had enough information to connect the dots and figure out where the party was. I'm very grateful to her. Unable to get the exact time of the party, she tried calling the venue, but we had a code lock. I think that's the correct term. They didn't tell her anything, and she doesn't regret it, even suggesting waiting for me outside the school grounds after school and trying to pull me back by my hair. It makes me shudder and feel sick. My dad was shocked, and apparently it was the turning point for them. They had a huge fight, and to make a long story short, he said he'd had enough. He's moving out and is currently staying in a hotel. He's filing for divorce and is asking for full custody of the children. He is willing to pay the extra cost of a nanny and hire her himself, for Matt's sake. Now even my mother's side of the family is starting to distance themselves from her. She insists that she has done nothing wrong and that everything that has happened is my fault because I am ungrateful and disloyal. Overall, there is hope for my father and brother. I think we can definitely build a better relationship in the future as long as my mother stays out of it. Time will tell. Someone asked me in the comments of my previous post if I intended to apply for a non-contact order after it became effective. I don't want to do that. She is my mother, but in her current state, I feel like I have no choice. This is for my safety and mental health. She doesn't care about my best interests, only her own. It's sad, but I know it's not my fault. She is the way she is now. Now for the next story. Story 2. My marriage ended due to the paranoia of family and friends about my wife cheating on me. After the divorce, I confronted them and they admitted to trying to steal her away. It's been almost 2 years since my divorce, and a few weeks ago, my 67-year-old father, 2 brothers aged 37 and 40, and 4 friends aged 35, 37, 38, and 41 got drunk and joked that they couldn't believe I had left my wife. They said that since the divorce, they had all tried to get back together with her, but she had repeatedly rejected them, saying that it was inappropriate and unkind of them to do such a thing to me. I let them talk, just to keep them talking, and once they thought I was amused, they really opened up. They made a point of making me feel that my ex-wife was unfaithful and using me, because how could a woman like her be with someone like me if it wasn't for the money I made? They constantly implied that she, and sometimes even said outright, was the one in control in the relationship and that she was only with me because I was easy to control. They kept planting negative things in my mind. If I approached them to discuss what was going on in my relationship, they would distort the facts or deliberately give me bad advice. Then, when I lost my job during the period of collaboration, they all hinted that she must be cheating on me because there was no financial incentive to be faithful to me. I obviously believed them and took their comments to heart so often that it destroyed my marriage. I constantly argued with my wife, always accusing her of something or doubting that she loved me. I questioned everything between us. I constantly told her that I was a valuable person and that she needed to be grateful to me. When I was unemployed for 6 months, I in turn accused her of not respecting me, not working, not being grateful for her hard work, and not being grateful for taking care of the household bills and other bills during those 6 months of unemployment. I continued to let their words push me into paranoia, and I began to accuse her of having an affair with a colleague. Eventually, my wife had enough of my moods, constant affairs and accusations, and she left me. To be honest, for a long time I felt all this was inexplicable, so I kept convincing myself that she left for another man. Now I understand that everyone I called family and friends was my enemy, and it was I who let them destroy my marriage. They told me how they had conspired to destroy my marriage, and we did have an argument. I cut off all contact with them. I want to contact my ex-wife, make amends, and hope that she will come back to me. My ex-wife agreed to meet with me and meet with me. She has no idea what I want to discuss with her. I don't know how to make amends and hope to repair our relationship. How do I tell her that I deeply regret what I did and that I hope she will give me a second chance? Do we still have a chance? Some of you keep saying that you believe your friends over your wives. I don't think that's a fair or complete assessment. I believe my father and brothers. My father was the main driving force behind this manipulative campaign, and it's not uncommon for the whole family to turn against you, not just your family but your friends as well. I don't run from accepting the fact that this is entirely my fault and I am responsible for how my marriage ended. I am responsible for the fact that I accused my wife of cheating or lying. If my ex-wife does not accept my apology, I will gladly accept that too. If she says she doesn't want to talk to me or get back together, I will gladly accept that too. I will not stand in her way and I will not try to change her mind. I will wish her well and leave her alone. Related comments. Interesting statistics. 550. They certainly know you are easily manipulated, don't they? I'm glad you've cut ties with these people, and I'll try to apologize to your ex-wife. I don't know if she'll forgive you, but at least give her closure if that's what she needs. It's painful for me to read this and see myself like this. I did trust these people, especially my father and brother. I never imagined my own family would conspire to destroy my marriage and be with my wife. I will definitely not prevent her from getting out of this situation. I just hope that she can find a way to forgive me and that there is a possibility of trying to reconcile, but I won't hold my breath. I will respect her wishes, even if it means that she will never forgive me. Jesmo Chu, so you're saying that your father and brothers also tried to have sex with your wife? Island unnamed 830. I'm shocked that they're still alive after confessing like that. I command Bahamian people, hearing such things, they would just be furious instead of going, it's just despicable. I didn't include the HT's outburst of violence because I didn't want my post to be banned. Blood was definitely spilled, and of course I got a beating because it was 7-on-1, but I did cause injuries in the ambulance and the police were called and we all just let it go without pressing charges against each other. Honestly, I'm still angry and I'm also very sad. Since the update on March 4, 2024, 6 days later on Sunday, I met with my ex-wife and I apologized to her. She was kind and understanding, but she said she could not and would not forgive me. She said she was just not good at forgiving people by nature. Although she has no resentment or anger towards me, she just wants me to be happy. She did give me some advice and told me that I have been abused my whole life, and in order to heal my inner wounds, I should cut off my relationship with my father because he set the tone for how my family treated me. She pointed out the many ways my father had hurt me and encouraged my family to abuse me. She said that if I continued to associate with my family and former friends, I would always remain stuck and depressed. I told her that I had already removed them from my life and that I had scheduled my first therapy session a few days later. She said that I should be proud of taking the first step towards healing. Our conversation was heartfelt and emotionally heartbreaking. We discussed the many reasons for the failure of our marriage and the abuse from my father and family. We cried the whole time. We cried a lot. We ended the conversation with a long hug and then we said goodbye. Oop's last words were, "Forgiveness is earned through changing behavior and acknowledging the harm you have caused. But it is not guaranteed or something you deserve. There are things that should not be forgiven, but that doesn't mean it will eat the person up or hold them back in some way." So I agree with her that you don't need to forgive to heal or gain emotional maturity, and sometimes forgiving isn't even an option for her. There are things she simply cannot forgive, and I have to accept that just as much as I wish she could forgive me, but it's just not going to happen for me, and that's okay.